Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. All right, January finally done. Wow, busy month, long month, right? In the past, certainly not anymore, but in the past, promoters would be scared to put on events in January. Understandably so, right? Post-Christmas, fight fans don't really have the money to spend on attending events. They certainly don't have the money to spend buying pay-per-views. That's changed. January is now one of the busiest months in the boxing calendar. I would argue and say it's probably the busiest month in the boxing calendar. And bear in mind, we didn't get Moses to Talma. That was supposed to happen. But yet it didn't even feel like we lost anything because there were so many events all over the world. Like 50-50 world title fights all over the world. Like I wrote just a few down of what happened in January. Dalton Smith versus Sabril Matias. 50-50 fight, I think that's fair to say. Xander Zayas unification fight, Abbas Barral. 50-50 fight, Josh Kelly versus Bakram, Tio versus Shakur, Muratalla versus Andy Cruz. We had the big Kabayel event in Germany, which I think was a lot bigger than people expected. Amanda Serrano returned to the ring. It was a busy month, and hopefully this is an indicator of what the rest of the year is going to be like. I did say in a video the other day that because there are now so many competing broadcasters, so many competing promoters, hopefully what happens is competition creates every promoter having to put their best foot forward. Like, fight fans are not going to pay for subpar fights and cards when they can just wait for the next promoter to put on something bigger, I hope. But yeah, it should be a good indicator as to what we're going to get for the rest of the year. Like what we got at the start of February? Nick Bull versus Figueroa. I go up to Liverpool on Friday for that one. Again, the card or the year is starting very, very busy, and hopefully it does continue. All right, let's have a look and see what there is to talk about today. I do want to talk about Conor Benn because I do feel like he has more options than any fighter in the world at the moment. And all of these options are big money options, like big fights. Like, if they're not world title fights, they're big money fights. But most of them are world title fights. So we are going to get to Conor Benn in a bit. But let's quickly have a look and see if there's any other news before we get there. Not the new Floyd Mayweather, just the first Shakur Stevenson. Okay, I like that. I do like that because we do like to compare, don't we? I guess Floyd was compared to Sugar Ray Leonard. We all like to compare fighters when we can just say they are their own type of fighter, because he's not really like Floyd Mayweather. I think Floyd Mayweather had much faster hands. I think Floyd was maybe a bit more aggressive, especially Pretty Boy Floyd. Shakur is his own person. Shakur fights the way he fights. Defensively, maybe as good as Floyd. Offensively, a bit different. But he has got a style that's going to be very, very difficult to beat. You've either got to be a supreme boxer like him, or you've got to be so aggressive and be willing to get hurt, but have like crazy power. And that fighter doesn't exist. Removing Gervonta Davis from the question, I don't think that fighter exists between 135 and 147. So yeah, good luck to anyone trying to beat him. Keyshawn Davis targets fights with Haney, Crocker, and Dalton Smith. Okay, so that's 2 weight classes there. Yeah, those are the fights he should target. Dalton Smith is a fight he should look at. Haney and Crocker at 147 are good fights. Both of them are champions. If you're Crocker, you like being called out by the big dogs. He looked okay, Keyshawn, against Jermaine Ortiz. I didn't think it was a vintage Keyshawn performance, but look, he got the job done. He's been out the ring quite a while. I don't think he fought in 2025. Could be wrong, but I don't think he did. So he's been out the ring a while. So it was a good performance. I haven't seen this fight. I've seen highlights of it. Hot Rod against Alexander Vodstik. That was the Zuffa card, right? It looked like a crazy fight. I do want to see it. That's almost a Zuffa card that's gone completely under the radar. Like, completely under the radar. That fight card was better than their first fight card. So they need to work on their promotion a little bit more. It isn't just a case of let's get as many fight cards out as possible. Let's let's promote the fight cards. I thought that was the idea with going to CBS and having Dana White as the voice and the face of the organization, like the way he promotes these UFC cards. That almost got no love, really. All right, let's talk about Conor Benn. It's funny how some people are so angry that he got into the ring post Shakur versus Tio. What did you expect him to do? If he didn't get in the ring, I would have been screaming that he's an idiot. Shakur Stevenson called him out. Shakur Stevenson is mid-interview with Mannix, and he literally makes a beeline for Conor. Not Conor jumping in the ring like he did maybe after Eubank's fight in Saudi Arabia. This is Shakur Stevenson, after his biggest win of his career, saying, where's Conor? And you don't expect Conor to capitalize on that and get in the ring? Are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with people? This is what you should do. I hate when I don't see fighters get in the ring. I'm like, if a fighter mentions your name or even hints at you, get in the ring and go face to face and start the sell. Like, what better way to start the sell when everyone is still tuned in, and all of a sudden, there are more people talking about Shakur versus Conor than they are now about Tio's performance. Like, Tio's post-fight interview was almost forgotten about. Now it's like, oh my God, did you see Shakur and Conor going face to face and nose to nose? And that's what you're supposed to do. What Conor has done since the Eubank loss, the first Eubank loss, is he started to sell himself to the American audience, and he is capitalizing on that first fight, which was obviously now voted Fight of the Year. And he's doing it, I think, so well. Like, he is causing problems with so many big name fighters. And that's what you're supposed to do, people. Like, don't be angry at him for doing this. This is smart. Like, you need options. I've said this. I don't care how good a boxer you are. If you don't have dance partners, you're in the ring shadow boxing. You need dance partners. And Conor has probably got 4 or 5 of the biggest dance partners out there. Potentially 4 or 5 big money fights. And these are all potentially lined up for him next. Like, all the names I'm going to mention, maybe really minus Shakur, because I just don't see that fight happening now. All these fights could happen next. Whether it be world title fights or just big money fights, whether it be over here or in the States. I think Conor now is known to the American audience, maybe more so than 99.9% of UK fighters. He's known to the American audience. And what happened in the early hours of Sunday morning, they all know him now. If they didn't know him, they all know him now because, again, he got in the ring when Shakur Stevenson called him. So let's not get too upset with someone being called out and jumping in the ring. You're supposed to do that. And another thing about Conor, very quickly before we talk about said opponents, and I've said this before, social media, man. Conor's so busy on social media, like so busy. Sometimes I think Conor stopped posting, but he's just flooding like his social media platforms. And that's smart. You've got to do that. Keep people engaged. Fighters don't do that enough, but he does it. But look, let's talk about his possible opponents, right? Let's go with the one that I don't think will happen, but regardless, he's been linked with this man for, I don't know, it's died down a little bit, but early, he was linked with him for a couple of years, Josh Kelly. Like, when Josh was at 147, him and Conor were linked all the time. Josh lost to Avanesian and then it died a little bit. And now, though, with Josh being a champion at 154, Josh obviously having a bit of a fan base up in the Northeast, I think it's very unlikely, but I mentioned it on the broadcast. I said, 1 second, what about Conor Benn? And Conor Benn's team will be looking at that fight as well, trust me. Because it's now, you maybe don't have to get down to 147, maybe you only have to get down to 154, which is a bit easier for Conor Benn. So that's an option. Devin Haney is an option. People, these are realistic fights. These are not me making things up. Conor Benn was out there causing trouble with Devin Haney. You guys would have seen it. A little bit of a push and a pull. Conor knows what he's doing. And if you were to ask Devin Haney, by the way, a lot of these fighters in America will look at Conor Benn and think, easy work. Like, Devin Haney will think, I can outbox you. Shakur Stevenson will think, I can outbox you. Whereas I look at Conor and think Conor could maybe rough you up a little bit. But Devin Haney knows that Conor Benn is a big money fight. It's a big money fight. So, again, that is an option. That's a world title fight. Josh Kelly was a world title fight. Rolly Romero, that's where I think they're going to go to. World title fight. Big option. You would have seen Conor Benn ringside. Whether it was set up or not, they're going, again, they're pushing and pulling and people are clipping it up and everyone's like, okay, Rolly versus Conor. They know what they're doing. World title fight. Ryan Garcia. Now, this is the one that I thought would happen next. But I also said that I don't like the idea of Conor sitting it out and waiting for Ryan Garcia. It's a bit of a risky thing to do. I mean, Ryan doesn't guarantee you fights, does he? It's not like Ryan saying, yeah, I fight every September and May. So it's a bit of a risky one to do. But if Ryan were to beat Barrios, that's the one that's probably been spoken about the most in the last couple of months. Ryan versus Conor, whether it be over here or in America. It's a big fight. It's a big fight. Again, I can't overemphasize just how big a deal it is. Shakur Stevenson calling out Conor to get in the ring and Conor doing what he did as well. Like, Conor didn't get in the ring and shrink. Conor got in the ring and said, do you think I'm scared of you? And I loved it. I loved that interaction. I'm not mad at it. I think people are mad at it because it's like, okay, Conor's jumping the queue here. Ryan Garcia's fighting for a world title fight. Like, there's a lot of queue jumping in boxing. Boxing, look, you'll get your world title fights. You'll get all those 50-50 fights and people deserving. You'll also get people jump the queue. And as much as it pisses me off, I don't like it. I understand that's just how boxing is at the moment. And then you do have Shakur Stevenson. So those are the 5 options. And by the way, I've not mentioned Chris Eubank Jr. in there. Although there were some whispers when they were both in America about a third fight, a trilogy fight. Don't want to see it. Hopefully it never happens. But those are the fights. Josh Kelly, world title fight. Devin Haney, world title fight. Rolly Romero, world title fight. Shakur Stevenson wouldn't be a world title fight, but he'll be fighting a pound for pounder. Ryan Garcia, if he were to beat Barrios, world title fight. That's wild. That's wild. But that's what Conor Benn has. And they are all big money fights. Maybe not Josh Kelly yet. But all the others are massive fights. He has more options. Probably say like big options than most fighters, right? Can't think of many that have options like this. Because those are all names. Haney, name. Rolly, name. Shakur, name. Ryan, name. Big names. So it'll be interesting to see what name it is next. Look, I'd put my money on Rolly, but wouldn't be surprised if it's Ryan. I mean, Shakur mentioned him again in the post-fight press conference. They've had their little back and forth. I don't know if you saw those two on Ariel Helwani's show. But they're kind of going back and forth there, and Conor saying you're too small, and Shakur's like, when did you start boxing? I think Conor said something like 15 or something like that. And Shakur's like, kind of like laughed at it. Like, I will destroy you. You've not been fighting long enough. Who wouldn't want to see it? Like, and look, by the way, Shakur, massive favorite. But don't tell me you wouldn't want to see the idea of someone trying to rough up Shakur a bit and seeing what Shakur can do. And I think I know what Shakur would do, but we would all watch it. That's the thing now with Conor. Conor's put himself into a position where you'd watch all of those fights that I've just mentioned. You'd watch all of them because I think you'd know that the build-up will be great. Obviously, all the press, all that kind of stuff, face-off would be fantastic. And I think you kind of know the fights will be exciting. Win or lose, the fights will be exciting. And that's kind of what he's done. And that's how he's marketed himself in the last year or so. So, yeah, look, let's see what happens. And I understand some people are going to be very, very upset that he's getting the opportunities. I get all that. But this is not that video. This is just me saying, look at the options he's created for himself. And now he's most certainly known to the American audience as well. All right, let's have a look and see if there's anything more. Josh Kelly wants stadium fights with leading names following his IBF 154-pound title win. Xander Zayas has said, look, let's go and do this in New York or Puerto Rico. Obviously, that would be a big unification fight. I don't know if he gets a stadium fight. I think you have to fill out the utilita first before you're talking about going to the Stadium of Light. That's Sunderland's football ground, which I think has a capacity. Let's see, I think it's like 40-odd thousand. So maybe, I mean, if he gets the right name, the right dance partner, maybe. But I think we're a bit off that at the moment. Just want to see. Stadium of Light capacity 49,000. Don't have to fill it, but I do think he's a bit off that at the moment. All right, look, anyway, guys, that was it. Very quick. Conor Benn options. What do you make of it? Are you upset? Probably are. But he's put himself in that position. He's put himself in that position, people. And you know what? There will be some to say it's the name, right? The Benn name, which helps massively. But there are other fighters who've had dads that have big names and haven't capitalized. I mean, the name will get you somewhere, rightly so. It'll open a door. Once that door's open, you've got to do it yourself. And I think Conor Benn's done well to, yes, use the name, but he's now kicked through the door, and now it's all about Conor Benn. But that name won't necessarily get you big doors opened in America. I think he's done that with the 2 Eubank fights. So I think he deserves some credit. Again, I understand that some of you won't give him that credit, but he deserves some credit. All right, anyway, look. Peace and love.